Mari is the founder of the Crew Life Coaching Collective, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that later. But she has spent decades as a multi-passionate entrepreneur and a business owner. And this is where it kind of marries those things with something that she has to offer you, but also is really grounded in real life experience. Welcome to the show, Mari. Thank you so much for joining me.
I am so excited to dig in, Barbie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And today the topic we're talking about is boundaries. And we all know that we got to set boundaries. We know that these things are important, blah, blah, blah. We've heard it till we're blue in the face. But today we're going to really tackle what they are, what it looks like, and of course, like how to do it. So, Mari, when you're talking to your clients and things like that, how do you approach the topic of boundaries? Let's just dive right in and get started.
So I always start, and I always like to share stories. I learn best when I hear a woman share her real life story, her real life experience, and nothing, we're not going to have the same experience, but so often as women, we're able to lean in and hear exactly what we need to hear through that story. For me, I just find it's easier to listen than here's 10 steps to the perfect boundaries and you'll never regress and you'll have it perfectly.
This is Real Talk with Barbie. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. And I think that even if you're talking to, if you take the same story and you just tell it to one friend or one client, they're going to naturally identify what matters to them most, right?
Yes, I remember hearing, have you read Big Magic by Liz Gilbert?
I have not, but I should probably, right?
It's a great, great, great book. And she talks about how she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And at one of the book signing events, a woman came up to her and said, when you shared about your abuse in your marriage and and Liz is like, there was no abuse in my marriage.
Interesting.
She misheard the story. But she heard what she needed to hear.
Right.
So even if the story isn't heard exactly as the storyteller intends, if you walk away from hearing a story, capturing what you needed to hear, bravo.
It's a win. Yeah.
It's a win. So how you and I got connected was on a Facebook platform, and I shared a story of one of my employees setting a boundary. Correct. So I think I'd like to start by sharing that story, if that's okay with you.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So I've had my insurance agency since 2008, which is just insane. I'm not that old, but that's okay. And I started the business with nothing. And so was really scrappy, really in a hustle mentality, grinding my way from zero to where it is today. And while I was in that hustle and grind, I was very much a helicopter employee, a helicopter boss, really micromanaging the team. And I really wasn't even someone I wanted to hang out with. Really had my hands in everything. I can say now, I give my team much more autonomy to run the business, and everybody's happier and better for it. But back then, when we still had a relatively small agency, we would call our policyholders on their birthdays. And my office manager, her name is Caitlin, it was her responsibility to call the 10 or 15 people each morning and wish them a happy birthday.
Just to interrupt, a policyholder, those were your customers, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Whoever had car insurance with us or home insurance with us or life insurance with us, we would do a search, whose birthday is it today, and give them a call. And at some point, I realized that Caitlin stopped doing this. So At some point, I could kind of hear how her day was getting started, and she was starting on just her tasks or her emails, and I wasn't hearing the birthday calls happen anymore. And so in our Monday morning individual meetings, I was that, helicopter boss. And I was like, I'm hearing that you're not.
Got to keep control so that it's.
Yes. Like, oh my gosh, they're not doing it exactly how I told them to do it. Yeah. And I said, I noticed that you're not making those birthday calls anymore. What is up? And she said, yeah, I'm not anymore. My plate is now full. I'm full for 8 hours a day, five days a week. And so if you would like me to continue doing those birthday calls, I'd be more than happy to. Just let me know what task you'd like me to not do instead. And I was like, what?
What do you mean you're not going to do like all of the things that I told you to do?
At the time, she was probably 25 too. A young, single, strong, amazing woman. And I was like, what? So that was my initial reaction. How, like, and then it was like when I sat back and realized what she did is just set this very clear, very direct, very honest boundary with me, her boss, so that we all could have realistic expectations of what she could do. It was like a light bulb went on for me
Yeah,
when
because
I.
she didn't say no. She didn't say to you, "I'm not doing that. I don't
Mhm.
have time." She said, "What's the solution?"
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely keep doing that for you if this is your priority. I chose other things, but if I chose wrong, no problem. And you make the direction, you tell me.
Mhm.
And I thought, "Oh my gosh, granting women permission to say no in a way that's like, no, what else?" But also just to set that boundary with an employer or a person of quote unquote power as a
Or
really brave.
yourself is
Thank
also
you.
interesting too, because we do that to ourselves all the time. There's
Oh
no
yeah.
thought of the to-do list tomorrow being like, what can I actually either on the
Mm.
schedule or emotionally handle? It's just these are the things I need to get done, period. So where I'm finding with your story is for myself, it goes to myself is, hey,
Yeah.
these are all the things I have to get done. I beat myself up at the end of the day, but there was no kind of concept about whether a person or myself was actually going to be able to handle those many things that day.
I absolutely love that. One of the coaches in my collective, her name is Elise, and she's a productivity coach. She's been teaching on doing a reality check every morning.
Oh, I love that.
I know. And this is a new system that she's integrating into her overall, I don't know, productivity framework. And it really is instead of just jumping into our days, doing a reality check. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, what's going down, what's on my calendar, what's in my email, what's on my to do list, and then do I have the capacity? Do I have the bandwidth? How am I feeling? Where am I out of my cycle? How am I emotionally? How am I mentally? What
Totally.
all the things. And we don't do that, like you said, with ourselves.
No, and we don't do exactly what your employee did back in the day. We don't sit there and say, okay, Maudie, okay, Barbie, like you have these 18 things on your to-do list. Let's just even remotely remove the part that no human could probably physically accomplish them. Let's just even remove those. But if we're going to get all those things done, what else is going to knock off? And it's always the things that are in our best
Mm,
interest. It's always the, hey, get to the gym at 6 o'clock. Hey, read that book that I've been meaning to get,
mm.
or call that doctor and get that mammogram that I should be getting. Those are always the things that we knock off instead of just quietly thinking, what boundary do I even need to set with
Mm.
myself?
Yeah.
Not just my
What if
boss,
it
not just my partner, not just my kids. That's a real gem there, for boundaries.
absolutely. And it's like, what if the boundary you took away from this conversation with is prioritizing myself? When you do that morning reality check or when you wake up and looking at your day, asking yourself, how am I loving on myself first? Like, how would that feel? How am I, even just setting that mammogram appointment, like you said, that literally might take, let's say 15 minutes, depending on hold time, right?
Yeah,
Like,
let's be real,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, it's not going to be a quickie quick, depending on your doctor and all the things. And how will you feel? 15 minutes in the morning, ticking that off. Say, I had a
It's one thing.
boundary. I said I was going to do this very important thing for myself. And then to
And
actually.
actually do it. And I love that this conversation is going this way because to me, a lot of times I find with, my clients, friends, people I talk to, and I'm sure
Mhm.
you're of the same way with your clients, is the whole self-care thing. Self-care, we're like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to go get a pedicure. I don't have that's not what we're talking about. We are
Mhm.
talking about putting yourself on that to-do list. You have
Yes.
no problem saying, "Oh, my friend's not feeling well. I'm going to go drop something off for her. I'm going to bake a freaking whole lasagna for that friend because she's not feeling well and I am going to go help her." How are you
Mm,
helping yourself today so that you
mm.
can fill up and help other people. We're so
Mhm.
trapped in that kind of thing in our to-do list. And I just love, with our tips, or the three things that we're going to take out of this episode, is one of them, hey, let's put yourself on that to-do list.
Mm.
So let's,
I
make sure we remember.
love that I agree. I love that this conversation is going this way because I have a bone to pick with self-care and I have a bone to pick with some of the sayings that women have been fed. So I'm sure you and all of the listeners have heard the example of like, you got to put on your own oxygen mask before you
Yes,
can help others.
right.
Okay. I hate this. I really do because I want us to dial it back. And what is it conditioning us to believe? It is conditioning us to believe that okay, why do you put an oxygen mask on in the first place? It's to save your freaking life, right?
Yes,
Okay. What it's saying is that the only reason that you as a woman, because they don't tell this to men, the only reason that you should put on your oxygen mask on, the only reason to save yourself is so that you can save other people. This is the conditioning. The conditioning is you can't pour from an empty cup.
right,
Okay, so what that says is the only reason to fill up my cup is so I can pour.
right. What if I
Whip
just want to fill up the cup to just fill up my cup?
dead
That's
stop.
also okay.
Dead stop. Yeah. And the way I talk about this with my clients in the crew is like, imagine if you have a cup and you just kept pouring. What happens? Like it kind of gets to capacity. The water's going to spill out and splatter out, and there's going to be. What if other people just got the drips and the splatters? Like, what if you filled up so full that everybody's just getting the excess? And the other thing that, with us and women and givers is we're gonna help other people. Like that's just a given. We don't have to worry about that.
Well, that's
That's
the
gonna
that's the
happen.
overflow that you're talking about. So,
Mhm.
I do love the analogy, of, yeah, obviously we put our own oxygen mask on. Yes, we gotta save our own life. Men, women, everybody, get it. The analogy of, you don't need to feel that you are worthy of putting the oxygen mask on to help other people, I think is what you're getting at mostly here.
Yeah.
You are
Mhm.
worthy of having that oxygen mask on, whether you're helping other people or not. If you're in the helping profession, as we are, which is coaches, or mothers or women in general, you're always helping somebody else. You are entitled to have that self-care regardless of what you do with it after. And our point is that we're trying to make here to the listeners is, let's just take care of ourselves first and worry about what the results are later. The inevitable result of taking care of yourself is that you are going to be able to shine your light brighter in the
Mm.
world, period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when you're thinking about self-care and boundaries, how can we start to get curious about what does it actually really look like for me? Because what you said was so key is it's not the pedicure.
Mhm,
It's not carving out time to get your nails done. That's another job for us. Like
mhm.
if this makes us feel good or our hair, whatever, like that's
That's
just
cool.
another appointment to go
That's not
to.
what we're talking about here. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You can't.
So
And even if we do take the illustration of the mammogram, just to
yeah.
take it to a drastic end, you are not going to be
Mm,
able to take care of anybody or yourself, help anybody, not even your dog, Joe, if you are in a hospital bed. So the important part is to take care of ourselves also proactively. And that's something that, we had touched on before too. You don't need to run your life on fire, because a lot of the
mm.
times we don't take care of ourselves until after it's a huge, massive problem. Like we take care of ourselves emotionally and physically. How about let's make it normal for us to do that before you get the stage 4 cancer diagnosis?
Yeah, this is exactly what happened to me. Thank goodness, thank God it wasn't that diagnosis. But, while I was probably about the same time Caitlin put me in my place with her boundary,
Right.
I was at the office working away, hustling, 10, 12 hours a day, sitting at my desk doing my thing. And all of a sudden, my heart started racing. My hand, like both my arms went numb, tingly, like a vice grip headache. And I thought, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. Like, what? This is crazy. I've never experienced anything as terrifying as this. I took myself to the urgent care, and explained all of my symptoms to the doctor, who said, "Oh, this is a classic panic attack." And I was like, "Do you know who I am? I don't do that."
Yeah, that's weak. I'm not weak.
Oh my, okay, you get it. Yes, you get it. That was my mentality. My mentality was slowing down, taking care of my mindset or my mental health or my emotional state was weak or pathetic. And the doctor, he prescribed, some pills to get me through and then therapy. And I thought, what? Like, and I went to therapy with my pen and paper and my little notebook.
Because you got to
And I
get it
was like,
right. You don't want to
give
screw it
me the
up.
list. Give me the list.
Yeah,
I'm a good.
I'm going to do it as fast as possible so I solve this problem and get out. That's what I used to be like too.
And my therapist is like, "Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah.
Like that's just not that.
That's how it works.
That's not how it works." Thank God. But back to what you're saying is, let's as human beings grant ourselves permission to take exceptional care of ourselves with ourselves before that happens.
Before it becomes an emergency. And I think that we don't, if we're not being productive, if we're not doing something, if I'm not seeing the immediate result. So you in the counseling, and I honestly, I've been there too. I've literally told a spiritual advisor that I was seeing. She said, you look like you're going through a lot. I said, honestly, let's just get it. She says, you're asking for too much from the universe. Cause I used to just be like, bring it on. I used to use the
Oh.
words, bring it on, because I just get through it as fast as possible. Okay, well, the human nervous system, now that I've learned about this, is that's not really how it works. So that's what she said. You got to slow down and have patience.
Wow.
No, let's just get it done as
Oh my
fast.
gosh. I imagine, like, what is the universe hearing from us when we say something like "bring it on"? Like, that's an invitation for too much.
Totally. And it
What a
literally
beautiful
was. I had to
example.
say, like, a month later, be like, oh, okay, like that's enough. So that's where the boundary conversation is so fascinating to me. Boundaries and self-care, setting boundaries like that lady did, as your employer. I highly doubt that any listeners starting listening in on this episode right now would classify that as self-care. Boundaries is something that we are like, oof. And
Yeah.
even if we do, we feel that that's letting somebody down. And
Mm,
when I did reach out to you, I think the biggest thing, that the takeaway that I was taking from your story, is setting a boundary is actually taking care of the relationship with the other person.
mm.
You are allowing that kind of open dialogue to say, this is what I am capable of handling, to make sure the relationship stays. That person that was working for you was setting that boundary so that she wouldn't quit, so that she wouldn't
Yeah.
up one day, burn it all down and be like, F you, I'm out of here. She was
Yep.
taking care of the relationship. And when we reframe boundaries like that,
Mm.
I think that it makes it a lot easier to set them.
Absolutely. I think we think boundaries are mean or make us, like, come off as being too aggressive or too much or rude. Um, and I think, another tip would be is you're probably going to feel that way because this is
Oh
new
yeah,
and
the
different.
first couple times, like, yuck. You don't say no, right?
Yes, exactly. Right. And so, one of the ways we can lean into this is practicing with like baby bitty boundaries. And maybe it starts with ourselves, right? With that, 5 minutes in the morning or whatever we're going to do for self care. But then practicing saying no, not right now. That's
I
not,
like that one. I like that one.
hmm
If
hmm
someone's having trouble setting a boundary, maybe that's a suggestion, is, um, I can't do that for you today,
hmm
maybe tomorrow, because I think that
hmm
sometimes maybe it is too much. If we're in a place right now where we're a super people pleaser and we never say no to
mm
anybody, maybe that's a suggestion. Maybe you can give some suggestions about
Yeah.
those little, I like that, little baby boundaries, because you're like, let's just get out the door and just do a little bit today.
Right, and even another, like, let's say you don't wanna do it. Not today, tomorrow isn't gonna feel good. So, you could say something like, "Oh, I am unable to do that. I can't do that for you today, but you know what? I know the perfect person who could."
Oh yeah, pawn it off on someone else. Love this.
And not in a bad way, but there's so
Yeah.
many women, there's so many people and business owners out there who want our business, who want to help. So it's
And guess what?
actually,
We're not all good at everything. It's
yeah.
okay to say, I am not the best. Me personally, yes, I am very capable of doing accounting spreadsheets. I am. I'm a very
Mm,
smart person. I hate them. I hate
yeah.
sitting down. What I want to do is be out there yapping at people, talking, doing the
Mm.
sales, doing the marketing. So it's also okay for us to say, hey, you know what? This person over here is a lot better at that than me.
Yes, and then you feel so much lighter, so much better. You didn't trap yourself into doing something you don't wanna do, and you gave an opportunity to someone else, and you actually helped the person who was asking you without just saying
Right.
no. That's the other thing I wanna say is, we've also been told that no is a complete sentence. Okay,
Mhm.
that's fine, but I don't know anybody who feels good just saying no.
No. And we're talking about real life. Somebody's invading your space emotionally or whatever. So we'll just be clear. And everybody, I think, assumes that we're not talking about if somebody is like endangering you. No is a complete sentence. Get out of there.
There you
We're
go.
talking about when someone's asking you to do something that you're like, I don't have time. I just don't want to. So, yes, in certain
Yeah.
circumstances, no is a complete
Thank
sentence.
you.
Moving on from
That
that.
caveat is brilliant.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And then let's get, another little baby boundary is to
Mhm.
write down what could you say after the no that feels, in line with your values. So like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's a no right now. I don't have capacity for that.
Yes. So I do love that because a therapist may say, you don't need to be sorry. And you don't. You're right. But if we're working on
Mm,
progressing and it makes so what you're
yeah.
saying is the end goal is to be able to, set more or
Hmm.
set harder boundaries. It's also
Hmm.
okay to give ourselves a break that it's not all or nothing. You don't have to
Yeah.
say, hey, you know what? I was listening to Barbie and Maudie and they're totally right. I need to set boundaries. And tomorrow you wake up and you don't need to rip the band-aid off. We can be taking baby steps towards it, and that's what you're saying. That okay, maybe not today, but
Hmm.
let's talk about another day that I can do it. So if you feel like you need to kind of just dip your toe in so that you don't feel like it's an
Hmm.
all or nothing, that's also really something I think that we need to honor in ourselves as well.
And then with that practice, when the bigger things come up, like, they ask you to co-chair the auction for the school again because you've done it for the last 3 years, but after the auction, you're absolutely completely burnt out.
Right.
Because you've been practicing, you're going to feel much more confident giving an answer that is in line with your integrity and your
Right.
values, and say, I don't have capacity for that.
I don't have capacity for that right now. And I love this. I love that I don't have capacity for that right now because that
Mhm.
is not you saying no. You're not saying you don't
Mm.
want to. It's not
Mhm.
like you don't want to help. It's just that I've got a lot of other things on my plate right now, being honest and honoring what you are,
Mhm.
doing. And I really love and I think you and I talked about this before is also that the practicing part because our brains are wired to keep us safe. And this is something that's so fascinating to me. We think we're so smart as humans, and we're smarter than all things, which we really aren't. And we say, okay, well, I know it's better for me. Let's just
Mhm.
say in our career. Okay. So you take the example of the lady that was working for you. It probably wasn't quote unquote good for her career to say necessarily, I don't have that. So we just keep pushing forward because we know what to expect. We see what the person sitting next to us. Well, they did these 10 things and now they're making more money and they're higher up than us. So my brain doesn't allow me to do something different than that because it doesn't know what to expect. Setting a boundary or doing something different, it doesn't know what to expect. So literally our brain sees that like we're going to die. And so I love the approach where you're like, hey, okay, so I tried this little bit, didn't die. It was okay. Tomorrow I can try a little bit more. The next day I can try a little bit more. And we don't, and then our brain, exactly what you're saying, when there's something big that actually matters,
Mhm.
our brain says, it's okay. I can do this. I've done it
Yeah.
before.
And let's also circle back to the capacity thing and being busy. This doesn't mean you have to be full. Like, this doesn't mean that you have to be um, totally spent out, exhausted, like you actually don't have the time. You might not just have the emotional capacity,
Sure.
right? You might not just have the bandwidth. Even if you have an hour free on Saturday that you're in your mind, like you said, your mind is telling you, oh, I have that hour free. I could do that volunteer. What if you just let that hour be for you because the first boundary that you are trying to try on is the self-care, is the
Yeah.
putting yourself first.
And that's okay. If you have that scheduled, how about let's just schedule that into our calendar like we do for all
Ooh.
the other things for everybody else. And I also wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit, as we kind of get to the end of our episode here is why? So what kind of approach do you take with your clients or in your collective in your community
Mhm.
of us figuring out, I think it's very important too, like why do we have such trouble setting these boundaries?
Mm.
Why do I have such trouble saying no? Why do I want to do everything for everybody else? And what in your groups do people find that is the root cause of this?
Mm. Honestly, my initial instinct is going to say it's gonna be a personal answer. So, as annoying as this answer probably is, the question I would or the response would be to the listeners and to everybody hearing that question is, get curious with yourself.
Right.
Because some of us are people pleasers, some of us are perfectionists, some of us had an upbringing where boundaries were completely railroaded. So I think our past and lived experiences, our conditioning, the social construct that we all grew up in is what morphed us into believing that boundaries are rude, boundaries are selfish. And so, this conversation is, I think, an invitation to get curious with yourself. Why do you think? Why do you think you have such an issue with boundaries? And how can you take that baby step
And setting the
inside?
boundaries,
Mhm.
sorry, in setting and
No, go
setting
ahead.
the boundaries that matter to you, because I think a lot of times we trap
Oh,
ourselves
yeah.
into, reading all the self-help books, doing all the things, and you're like,
Mm.
"Okay, so my intuition knows I need to set boundaries." So I go and read a book about boundaries that's somebody else's story that is about
Mm.
their life and their, underlying issues, and they could be similar, but it not might not be quite me. So
Mhm.
then I try that on for size. That doesn't work in my situation, and then I quit.
Yeah.
So I think intuitively what's very cool, and if it's, somebody, especially I think as intuitive beings, we know, like you already know in your mind what you need to do. Sometimes we just need somebody to affirm that for us and give us a little bit of help. And that's why on this podcast, I want to have these little tips where it's like, hey, I'm going to try that on for size.
Mm.
Barbie and Maudie said, okay, maybe try this.
Mhm.
Honestly, quite simply down to, and we use this example all the time in coaching and counseling, is you're at the restaurant. If that food that now we're talking about with inflation, that meal probably cost you $385,000. If
Mhm.
you aren't happy with it, why do we feel bad sending that back? I don't need to be rude. But
Yeah.
that the waitress wants to make me happy, she wants her tip. The kitchen wants to make me happy. They, I don't know, the guy's a chef. He probably, all those
Mhm.
things. So why do we feel bad? So that little baby step could just be like, "Hey, you know
Mhm.
what? I was really looking forward to this steak. It's really not what I like. Would you mind having it redone for me?" Setting a
Mhm.
boundary doesn't need to be these big like stand up, ask for the manager, get a refund. Like I think generally in
Right.
life humans we want to make each other happy.
Yes, absolutely. Asking for what you need,
Asking for
asking for
help.
what you want, asking for help is a great boundary to start. To start with, inside the crew, our theme for May is be bold. That's our theme, our overarching theme. And one of the members said, this isn't like a really crazy big, bold move, but I asked our VRBO to check in 4 hours early. And I was like, that is a bold move because if it makes you feel uncomfortable, if it makes you feel needy or like you're too much, for one woman, it might not feel like a
I was
bold
just
move,
gonna
but
say
if
that.
it is
Yeah.
for you, then
Yeah.
it is a bold move. And guess what? The VRBO person gets to hold their boundaries in whatever capacity they need to at the time. She was
And
like,
you
oh my God,
always
it was so,
ask,
and
right?
you
You
can
always
always
ask,
ask.
but to one woman, like you're saying, and I think that that is a perfect example, and then that leads us perfectly into your program, which I'm fascinated and obsessed by. But your one like being bold that the theme or brave or whatever
Yeah.
we're talking about, we always want everybody to understand that is different to everybody, and that's okay. It also could be different for the same person on a different day.
Oh, that's
Some
good.
right. Some days you can handle and you're just like, "Oh my god, I could this was nothing last week. Why?" And that's okay. Give
That's
yourself a
good.
break. That's okay. So I want to hear a little bit. Let's chat a little bit about your crew because this is awesome. And I want everybody to listen up about this because this program that Mari has put together is fascinating. You pay your fee once a month, but you get these different experts. This I love because just like what we're saying, 1 month, maybe you need more support on your emotional stuff with your relationship. Maybe next month you need more support with your business. And what she's built is this platform where you can take all of that or some of it, depending on the month that you're going through. So tell me a little bit about the program. And what my listeners can get out of it, and you're so passionate about. When we first started talking about it, you like literally lit up like a Christmas tree. So let's hear
Oh
about it.
my gosh, thank you so much for the opportunity to share because personal growth and development is something I'm so passionate about. And I've invested tens of thousands of dollars into coaching. And I've found this really curious thing out there in the self help realm is that usually you hire one coach at a time, right?
Yeah.
You hire because it's expensive. So you hire your business coach, and your business coach is going to help you dial in and then you get through that program and you're like, oh, my mindset's kind of off. Like I know how to scale, but my mindset's kind of funky. So then you hire the mindset coach and you get the mindset dialed in, and then you think, oh my gosh, my productivity or your system, and there's always something. And as women, we are not siloed. Our growth and our needs are not these perfect silos. We're integrated. We are this beautiful tapestry of what we need at different moments of our life. And I thought, what if instead of having to hire those individual coaches at different times, what if we created a coaching collective where I brought together the best of the best? So, these to hire these coaches, it'd be at least $10,000 on your own, the best of the best. And they came into the crew and they coached in their niche. So we have the business coach, we have the relationship coach, the mindset coach, the productivity coach, and the health and well-being coach. And then I help with inspo and goal setting. And they all coach for 2 hours a month. So members get 20 hours of live coaching. Now, like you said, Barbie, the invitation is not to come to everything. It's just to come to what you need, but it's there for you month after month. And instead of charging, I don't know if you know how $5,000 a month this would cost, we charge $97 a month. So you get access to everything at
So
a
some months
very,
I could use 20 months, some months I could use 2 months or whatever.
you could use like 2 hours.
And I love
Yes.
this. Now, do the coaches also so one of my other questions was,
Hmm.
do the coaches talk to each other? Because I also find like
Mm,
sometimes I do love, for example, a similar situation, where I go for my chiropractor, but I go to my chiropractor, my registered massage, and my physio all in the same office, and they can all check the same file. So is
love.
this something that they work together as well with
So
my
this is group coaching. And so we don't get together and discuss individual members. We do get together and have faculty meetings, and the faculty coaches are members. So you will see a faculty, you will see Molly, who's our health and well-being coach, you will see her at a session with Sarah, our leadership coach, because what our coaches also do not subscribe to is the guru mentality of
I love this.
I've
Me
got it
too.
all figured out.
Always
I
learn
don't.
from everybody.
Yes. So to answer your question, we don't get together and diagnose or talk about the members because it is a group coaching scenario. We do get to know each other that way, but we show up for each other. And then when Mindy is coaching on mindset, she's then able to say, you want to know who you should go talk to? You should go talk to Amy on relationships with this because
Love
we got,
this.
yeah. So it's more of that kind of integration versus specific member
And I
integration.
do love this too because I always say to, my clients and listeners too, we always subscribe to this like, oh, there's business and personal. Not no way. Business
No.
is so personal, especially when you're running your own business and especially if you have a partner. If you have a business partner, you are married. You are married to that person, you have a relationship. So like that whole business versus personal thing, when you're running your own business, no way. And even if you're climbing the ladder in corporate, there's no
Yeah.
business and personal anymore. We bring everything home with us. If you're going through a hard time with your marriage, you cannot tell me that that does not affect your job the next day. So this kind of integration of everything
Yes.
is genius.
Absolutely, and vice versa. If shit, oh, excuse me, if stuff is going sideways at home, you're gonna bring that to
There's
work. And
no way
so,
that that's not going to affect your job. Absolutely.
yeah, we're human beings. We
So some
cannot compartmentalize that way.
yeah, and if and yes, some people are better at compartmentalizing, and honestly, to tell you the truth, I am very jealous of those kinds of people sometimes.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I am not capable of that. If I was having
Hmm.
a really rough time in my relationship, I'd go when I was working in corporate, I'd be crying all day. Like I am physically not emotionally able to do that. So what I love that you've built is this whole, you can kind of go back and forth. You also don't need to feel guilty that if you spent this, and we've all done it, you spent that several $1,000s with this coach,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
get there and you're like, you know what, this isn't really jiving for me this month, or this
Hmm.
person, or whatever. It's okay, because you can go see someone else the next month. And I love that you don't need to feel trapped into these kind of, you're not necessarily maybe getting the results that
Yeah.
you thought you would get with this coach X, Y, and Z. Now I'm going to go try this new one. Love that concept. So where can they find more information about you and this the crew that you've built, which is great, and I encourage everybody to check it out. It's so fascinating and I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. The website is thecrewcc.com. But if you just want to get to know me and us a little bit better, Instagram's a great place to hang out.
Yeah, it is. And I think that, we'll put all this information in the show notes. And if you guys want to reach out to Mari, make sure that you tell her that you heard about it on the
Mhm.
Real Talk podcast, because these are the topics that we want to be talking about here on this podcast. This is the stuff that really matters to you in real life. All of these high level kind of ideas and concepts that we read about in the books, those are all great. We want to talk about what matters to us in our real life, real stuff. And I really think that this program that Mari's put together really can help you do that. And the guests that I have on this podcast are real people that have gone through real stuff. These aren't people talking from, big platforms, and they're not judging you from high levels up on the mountain. Like, we're all going through it together. We're all in it together. And you've been such a great guest. Thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, please make sure you check out the crew. And I'm sure you're going to see me there soon. Thank you so much for joining me, Mari. Have a wonderful day. And
Thanks, Barbie.
I'll
Thank
have
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Hi, this is Barbie, and this is the Real Talk podcast. I made this space because I love to talk and shine light on the real stuff we're all going through in life. Not the bright, shiny stuff we see everyone sharing on their feeds, but the gritty, messy parts that need to be heard to heal. I am an open, outspoken, sometimes oversharing mom, wife, friend, speaker, author, and successful business girl. I have loved a lot, learned a lot, and grown a lot. But I have also hidden my light, changed myself for others, gotten divorced, lost in business, woken up with a paralyzed face, and gone through a heap more things we can get into later. The only point is, I know you are going through a lot of the same things. Life is not fun when you feel alone, full of fear, and misunderstood, and I totally get what you're going through. Let's do it together, because it's a lot easier to be brave when you don't feel alone. Subscribe and join me every week to talk about the real stuff. I can't wait. We're going to learn more about mental health, joy, grief, business, parenting, and how community and feeling like we belong somewhere is the key to real happiness. I talk about my experiences, tell some stories, and talk to professionals for tips, ideas, and real advice on things going on in your life. This is Real Talk with Barbie. I'm so glad you're here.